Hello, welcome to our statement of work presentation on automotive security. Our team is WARS, or Will, Antonio, Ravi, and Sears. So the problem is that there have been a number of functionalities that have increased conveniences for car owners over the last several years. However, increased connectivity capabilities combined with increasingly complex software systems have led to an overall larger attack surface in vehicles. And some of these attack surfaces have enabled both physical and privacy threats to the car owner.
Our approach to compromise the 2020 Hyundai Sonata contains two prongs. First, accessing the car via the digital key, and the second, gaining access through the infotainment system. The digital key mobile app uses Bluetooth and near-field communication to give users total access to the vehicle and allows for owners to share keys with other people. To conduct analysis, we will download the digital key APK and perform static and dynamic analysis, anti-obfuscation, and unpacking if needed. We will give the majority of our attention to how different commands are created and sent to the car from within the source code, and then compare and contrast that with external readings that we take with tools such as the Ubertooth One, which is a Bluetooth traffic monitor, and software-defined radios. Once we have ascertained how the signals are being crafted, we will then use replay attacks to create and send our own versions of command signals in an attempt to control the car. The infotainment system also presents another attack vector for us to exploit. Hyundai already provides step-by-step guides for updating the navigation system's firmware. Using this mode of entry as a base, we will attempt to understand what protections are placed on the updates and craft a malicious input designed to give the attacker a greater amount of control over the vehicle. In terms of inputs, the infotainment system provides a disk drive, USB input, and Bluetooth, all of which allow users to upload and play their own files. We will also focus on breaking out of the file system structure that the Sonata shows the common user, and to see what features we can gain access to and what information we can extract.
Within our project, we have a couple of goals that correspond to the different project phases. Initially, the first phase corresponds to the analysis of the Hyundai Digital Key application. The goal is to produce a comprehensive security report after performing static and dynamic analysis of the application of any potential vulnerabilities in terms of security and privacy to the user. Furthermore, our goal is to actually gain physical access to the vehicle via compromise of the digital key application or compromise in terms of the communications via replay or relay attack. Once we have physical access, or if we allow ourselves to have access, if this proves not to be exploitable, the next goal is to obtain access to the infotainment system via the disk drives, USB, or via Bluetooth or other network connection. Within this, the goal is to be able to upload and access the infotainment system and upload a file that we ourselves craft. Once that has been uploaded, the next two goals are dependent upon the level of access and resources the infotainment system has access to. The goal is to obtain as much information as possible, but particularly sensitive system information or user information necessary to operate the vehicle. And then furthermore, to try to leverage control, again, of any resources possible, but ideally resources necessary to actually operate the vehicle or operations within the infotainment system.
So for our timeline, we've mapped this out, week by week. So for the first week, we're planning on completing some static analysis of the Android application as well as on the infotainment side. We know there's some information out there kind of scattered around online forums regarding how to access that. So we'll be reviewing that information. The second week, moving on to dynamic analysis of the app, and then using that information we found for the infotainment system, we will try to gain access to it, whether that's a developer mode or sideloading applications. The third week, we will start to use SDRs or the Ubertooth One, as Ravi mentioned, to try to intercept the NFC and Bluetooth communications between the app and the car. And at the same time, we'll start working on trying to do research on what we can access in the infotainment system and how we might develop an app to take advantage of that. The fourth week, we're gonna start analyzing, decoding those communications being intercepted to see what goes on between the car and the app and how that might be useful, and continuing research and development of that application, start testing it in the car. Second last week, we will try to use that analysis to actually complete a malicious action on the car, such as maybe an attacker is able to unmark the car without having access to the app. And then we will also finalize the app that has access to the infotainment system and use that to develop a proof of concept. And so in the final week for our 2 deliverables, we will be completing the report on what we found, a security analysis of the 2020 Hyundai Sonata, as well as we will be producing a proof of concept video of how someone might go from using that digital key access to installing something in the infotainment system, potentially track the driver.
So there are a couple of risks associated with performing this project. Initially, the main risk comes from not being able to access the system or find vulnerabilities within the digital key application. In these cases, that the system or the application find themselves too secure and where they're not exploitable, this could cause the project to fail. In addition, there might be insufficient permissions from the infotainment system to actually leverage for information extraction or to leverage control over the car system. Furthermore, there's also the risk of damage to the vehicle, both via routing the infotainment system or actual mechanical damage if access is obtained and then the driving capabilities are compromised.
If we are unable to make significant progress in finding potential vulnerabilities by the 1st of November, we will change our project to instead conduct a security assessment and penetration test on cameras produced by Wyze. Wyze's smart home cameras are internet accessible and remotely controlled and provide plenty of avenues for potential security vulnerabilities.
Thank you for your attention. And are there any questions?